Now, let's prepare our hearts and minds for a time of meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable position in your seats. Close your eyes if you wish, and take a few deep breaths, letting go of any distractions or worries that may be on your mind.
When I pray, I feel my heart goes deeper. My heart goes deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart goes deeper. My heart goes deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my love goes deeper. My love goes deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my love goes deeper. My love goes deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my heart goes deeper. My heart goes deeper into my God.
And if you haven't done so already, I invite you to gently close your outer eyes or lower your gaze, breathing into ourselves, feeling yourself grounded and supported by the seat that you are in, knowing that we can set aside anything that we brought in with us this morning to simply be present. So let go of the agendas, let go of the after plans, let go of the things we didn't do coming into here or have yet to do, and simply rest in the beloved spaciousness of love. Feeling your body relax, your jaw soften, your shoulders soften. And having that strong spine, but a soft belly. Breathing normally, effortlessly, as our body does by nature. And as we sink deeper, as we continue to breathe, we behold the idea of resurrection, of new life, of new possibilities. Feeling, and even if you can't feel, imagine feeling the blood that is coursing through your veins. That is life. The breath which passes in and out through your nostrils, feeling your stomach go out and in with each and every breath, your chest rise and fall. Life. And it is God who is in every element of our being. That newness is always taking place, moment by moment, cell by cell. And so we breathe into our being. Noticing that any distracting thoughts that come up, we see them, we bless them, and we release them. Moving closer and closer to that center, that unshaken space of peace. And we now take a few moments in this womb, in this sacred space, to hear the still small voice that wants to reveal something to us. And so we listen now in the quiet, in the stillness of the silence. And so we breathe and listen in the silence. Wherever we are, God is. And with that statement, we know that this This time we call meditation, this time we call centering, is something that we can return to at any moment. It is as near as the breath. So as we prepare to move deeper into our spiritual practice, I invite us again to return our awareness to the space that is around us, to maybe shift in your seat, wiggle your toes, or feel yourself reinvigorated from our time of practice this morning. To remember the sacred power and presence of the breath and of a sacred pause. And as we now return to this room and this space that we're in, I invite you, when you are ready, to open your eyes. And I welcome you back this blessed Resurrection Sunday.
I just love the truth in this beautiful song by India R.E. I am light. 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 I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside me. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I'm not my race. My soul inside is all light. Divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
The music ministry of David Trolley. Thank you, David, for that beautiful song. And this morning, Rev Jen and I are inviting you to roll away the stone from those things that your family did, or roll away the stone from the voices in your head, and roll away the stone from your age, and realize that you are the divinity defined, that you are God in the inside, that you truly are a star, a bright shining light, a bright shining star. Just a couple of comments on things that are coming up. Karen Drucker, as Bob said, will be back with us. Sign up. It's filling up. There's going to be, there must be like 30 people signed up in there already. So sign up if you're coming in. And for those of you who don't know TJ Woodward, TJ's he's a great speaker. He's written a book called Conscious Recovery and does a lot of work in recovery around the country and promotes conscious recovery. So very enjoyable. Vernell Nelson is coming back, and Vernell's always great fun. She'll be doing a Sunday talk beforehand, and sign up for the workshop. I'm going to be there. It's just she's just great. And then and Coffee with Rev Jen, Coffee and Consciousness and Conversation. I heard the first one was fun. So it'll be the first Friday of every month. And so join Rev Jen in May for that celebration. And here it is, Easter Sunday. And what happened on Easter Sunday morning? Well, Mary and Salome were wondering as they walked up to where the last place they saw Jesus and that there was a stone in front of the tomb. They wondered who was going to roll that stone away. But when they got there, they found that the stone was already moved and that they were already in the midst of a new beginning, that the Christ within was already in full bloom. I once heard a story about a man who decided one Saturday that he was finally going to clean out his garage. Now, this wasn't just any garage. This was one of those garages where things don't just get stored, they get preserved for future generations. You know that garage. I know. I've seen some of your garages. You know what I mean. Boxes boxes from moves that we did 20 years ago, mysterious cords that go to absolutely nothing. Yes, a treadmill that had become more of a clothing rack than a fitness device. And in the very back of the garage, he found something very interesting. A big, huge, heavy box. It was taped shut and it was covered in dust. Well, he looked at it and he thought, I have no idea what's in here, but it must be important because I've kept it this long. So he dragged it out into the light, cut through the tape, opened it up, and it was full of things he didn't need anymore. Old papers, broken items, things that maybe mattered once, but don't matter now. And that's the funny part. He stood there, and here's the funny part. He stood there for a moment. He looked at the box, and instead of throwing it away, he taped it back up and put it right back where he found it. And as funny as that is, I think we all have a box like that, don't we? Or maybe for Easter, we can call it a stone. Something we've been carrying, something we've kept in place, something that once had a purpose, but now it's just sitting there, taking up space, keeping something new from beginning. Because here's the truth, folks, the stone is not the enemy. Just like that box, at one time it held something meaningful, something necessary, something that helped us. There comes a moment in every life when we have to ask, does this still belong in my life? Or is it time to roll it away? And that's where Easter begins. Jen?
In Unity teachings, Holy Week symbolizes the inner journey of releasing fear and limitations and old patterns. That is the crucifixion that takes place as that release. And that happens in order for our divine nature to be revealed. So it culminates today, it culminates in the realization of the Christ that is within us. So that is the awakening to new life, the spiritual renewal and ever present power of love, which is the resurrection. So today, as we're talking about rolling away the stones of limitation, we do so with optimism and joy and possibility. And remembering that the stone, again, is not the problem, because in the biblical story, the stone sealed the tomb. And so its purpose in that story is to protect and to honor and to complete a process. And so in our lives, we too have these stones that we often carry around. And they began as acts of wisdom. We learned to protect ourselves. We learned to cope and we learned to survive. And so sometimes these stones are like statements like, well, don't feel too much, or stay strong, or don't trust too easily, or be who they need you, whoever they is, be who they need you to be. And those stones worked for a time. They worked until they didn't. But what once protected us can eventually confine us. And so this is where we need to be aware and look at those stones. That what once kept us safe can begin to keep us from life itself. There was a woman who once told me she had built what she called her emotional security system. And she said, oh, it's very advanced. There's motion detectors, the alarm system, reinforced walls. Nobody is getting in here. And I said, well, that sounds impressive. How is that working? And she paused and she said, well, no one is getting in here. Exactly. Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 says that we are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. And so, what this verse means to us is it calls us to live authentically. We are not meant to be hidden and stay behind that stone. There is more to be revealed. But it also isn't about blaming the stone. It's simply the self-recognition that we don't live there anymore. And we don't do this alone.
And here's the good part about it. We don't have to roll that stone away alone. We don't have to do it by ourselves. In the Easter story, something remarkable happens, as I said earlier. The stone was already rolled away. And for us, the stone is already rolled away. No one sees it happen. No one strains against it. No one organized a committee to movement, which suggests something deeply comforting. Transformation is not a solo act. There is a cooperation between our willingness and the divine movement. We don't have to know how healing happens. We don't have to muscle our way into resurrection. We are invited to do something much simpler and much harder. We are invited to just show up, to just show up as Mary and Salome did. Just show up, even in fear, even in uncertainty, even asking who will roll away the stone. All we need to do is just show up. You know, I do a lot of work in grief, and years ago, someone I was working with was struggling with deep depression. They described it as feeling like they were inside a sealed room. No doors, no windows, no way out. They had tried everything they could think of: willpower, distraction, even spiritual practices. But nothing seemed to move the heaviness away. Nothing seemed to move the depression. And one day, almost reluctantly, they agreed to sit in a small support group. They didn't want to talk, they didn't want to share, they just showed up. Week after week, they sat quietly while others spoke about loss, about fear, about hope, and about small moments of courage. And then after several weeks, they said something very simple: I don't feel better, but I don't feel alone. And that was the beginning. Not a dramatic breakthrough, not a sudden miracle, just a stone that had shifted because they showed up and something larger met them there.
So resurrection is not going back. It's not a return. What it is it's transformation. So Jesus doesn't come back to resume his old life. He appears differently, right? He's recognized, but he's not recognized. And he's the same and yet not the same. And that's true for us as well. From the moment we are an idea in the mind of God, we begin this process of changing how our bodies and our minds and our hearts evolve and are impacted and shaped by the world that is around us. And those inevitable stones are found throughout the journey. When we move the stone, however, we don't go back to who we were before the pain and the loss and the awakening, but we step into something new. We are transformed in with more spaciousness, more realness, perhaps feeling more aligned. So living authentically means that we stop trying to fit into an older version of ourselves that no longer holds who it is that we have become today. This again is that living authentically. A woman I worked with went through a major life transition after a long career ended unexpectedly. And for months, she was trying to get back into normal. So she updated her resume and applied for similar roles and tried to recreate the identity that she has built for decades. And yet, no jobs were opening for her. And then one day, out of frustration, she said, I don't even know who I am without this job. And that right there became the doorway. She began exploring things she had never given herself permission to try. She stepped into art and volunteering and mentoring younger professionals. And ever so slowly, something new began to emerge in her. And about a year later, she said, I kept trying to go back to the life that I had lost. But what I didn't realize is that life was trying to move forward without me. And so her process of stepping into these new things helped create a different identity. This was her resurrection where she reinvented herself. And that reinvention aligned with truth, as is the case for most of us, as is the case actually for us all.
And just because it's Easter doesn't mean you don't have to do a little work on Easter Sunday. I always like to give you just a little practice, just a little something to do on Sunday mornings. And so it's time for us to take a look at what stone is ready to move in us. It's time to bring this message into the personal time. This isn't about stones in general. This is about your stone, the one that stands at the entrance of your own aliveness. Not with judgment, not with pressure, but with curiosity. With curiosity, what lies behind that stone? What have I been leaving back there that I've been afraid to roll it away and let come out? What is my new aliveness? What belief is still guarding the doorway in you? What fear still whispers, stay where it's safe? What identity still feels heavy but familiar? The invitation then of Easter is not fix yourself, it's come and see.
Mhm. Yes, Easter is not just a moment, but it's a practice. And rolling away the stone isn't something that we do only once. It's not ta-da, and we're done. There's more for us to do. It's something that we continue to choose. And each time we choose to tell the truth instead of perform, we are rolling away that stone. We choose to open instead of close, to trust instead of being in control or fear, and to love instead of withdrawing. And each time we do those things, we participate in the process of what is called resurrection. So living authentically means we become the people who are willing to let life keep emerging through us. And life is going to continue to emerge through us, whether we are aware of it or not. But it is happening. Someone once said, I'll rest when I'm done growing. And life said, good luck with that. Because life is always inviting us forward. It is always nudging us. It is always inviting us to something new. So, my friends, the stone is not rolled away so we can go back to who we were. It's rolled away so we can become who we are right now. So now go forth and be the love and the light that you already are. Happy Resurrection Sunday.